to our beautiful California is a disgrace to our country. It's a shame. The world is looking at it. Look at Los Angeles with the tents and the horrible, horrible, disgusting conditions.
President Trump has signed a new executive order aimed at cracking down on homeless encampments. KTLA's Annie Rose Ramos.
Executive order, the president now wants it easier for communities to remove homeless people from the streets and relocate them to a shelter or treatment center.
Well, President Trump thinks this effort will make cities safer. In fact, he claims that this order will remove drugs and violent criminals from our streets.
You may have missed it, but Donald Trump just made a very clear promise. If he's elected in 2024, he's coming for California's homelessness crisis. Not with more funding, not with community-based programs, with a federal crackdown. His words, "We will clean up our cities. We're not letting people live like that anymore." Now, whether you love Trump or can't stand him, this isn't just campaign noise. It's a message to one state in particular, California. And if you think this is just talk, think again. Trump's already laying the groundwork for massive policy shifts that could upend how California handles its most urgent crisis.
To our beautiful California is a disgrace to our country. It's a shame. The world is looking at it. Look at Los Angeles with the tents and the horrible, horrible, disgusting conditions.
Let's be honest, California's homelessness problem didn't start last week. This has been a slow-motion collapse over decades. But here's the thing, it's never been this bad. As of early 2024, California has over 181,000 people experiencing homelessness, according to HUD. That's nearly 30% of the entire country's homeless population, in one state. Los Angeles alone has more than 70,000 unhoused individuals. Tent cities line sidewalks, RVs double as homes. People are dying in the streets every day. The state has spent billions, yes billions, trying to fix it. From Project Room Key during COVID, to permanent supportive housing programs, to local taxes in cities like San Francisco. But the numbers keep going up. Voters are frustrated, mayors are desperate, and the political blame game is in full swing. Now, throw Trump into that chaos. His campaign is zeroing in on California, painting it as the face of American decline.
Donald Trump has signed a new executive order working to address homelessness nationwide.
He's using images of Skid Row in downtown San Francisco, not just to criticize Democrats, but to promise action. Swift, federal, forceful. Whether you believe Trump could actually solve it, or fear what his solution might look like, this isn't just a policy debate. This is a looming clash between federal power and state control, and California is in the crosshairs. Here's where it gets real. Trump isn't just saying we'll clean up the streets. He's started spelling out exactly how he plans to do it. In recent rallies and interviews, including a sit-down with Fox News in June 2024, Trump laid out a strategy that goes far beyond local policy.
Years and years and years. I've heard that same rhetoric for years. People are dying.
He said if elected, his administration would declare homelessness a national public health crisis, deploy federal enforcement, and create tent cities run by the military or private contractors outside major population centers. Sound extreme? That's the point. This isn't about more mental health funding or affordable housing programs. This is about removal. He calls the current approach too soft and says the solution is getting them off the streets immediately. And just like with immigration, he's pitching this as a return to law and order. According to policy briefs leaked from people close to his 2024 campaign,
on a new executive order by President Trump aimed at ending homelessness. The White House says the order is designed to remove criminals off the streets and to get help for people dealing with mental illness or substance abuse.
Trump's team is drafting executive orders that would bypass local governments, override sanctuary city protections, and give federal agents the power to move the homeless population into what he calls rehabilitation zones. Critics say this echoes Reagan-era tactics and risks turning homelessness into a criminal status. Supporters argue that California has failed so badly that any action is better than what's happening now. Either way, it's no longer just rhetoric. There's a playbook forming. And if Trump wins in November, he could move on this fast, especially in states where he wants to make an example.
Well, President Trump thinks this effort will make cities safer. In fact, he claims that this order will remove drugs and violent criminals from our streets.
All right, let's imagine what this crackdown actually looks like if Trump follows through. It starts with a federal declaration labeling urban homelessness as a national emergency. That instantly gives the executive branch the power to mobilize resources without waiting on Congress. From there, things move quickly. Armed with federal authority, Trump's administration could deploy National Guard units or federal police into cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, or Sacramento. These forces wouldn't be arresting people for being homeless, but they'd be enforcing public health codes, clearing encampments, and relocating unhoused individuals to off-site camp facilities. Those sites, based on campaign material, would be built on federal land, outside city limits. Think repurposed military bases, large tent zones, or modular housing camps. Trump has said they would be safe, clean, and secure. But the big concern is, what happens to personal freedoms in these zones? Would people be allowed to leave freely? Would they receive mental health care or just be warehoused? Would relocation be voluntary or enforced through threat of jail time? The details are murky, and that's the danger. Cities would likely resist. But under Trump's plan, the federal government wouldn't need local permission. He's already talked about overriding governors and mayors under emergency powers. In places like California, where cities have pushed back against federal immigration enforcement, this would trigger massive legal and political battles. On the ground, the optics would be explosive. Military vehicles clearing tents in downtown LA, federal buses transporting people to temporary camps, courtrooms jammed with civil rights lawsuits. It wouldn't just be policy, it would be a spectacle. And that spectacle, it plays right into Trump's larger narrative, that he's the only one tough enough to fix what blue states have broken. Now let's zoom out. Trump's homelessness plan isn't just about housing policy. It's pure political theater, and California is the main stage. His campaign knows that images of tents in Venice Beach or drug use on the streets of San Francisco shock middle America. They play well in swing states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. That's the strategy. He's not trying to win California. He's using it. Painting it as a dystopian warning of what happens when Democrats go soft on crime, defund the police, or prioritize woke politics over safety. In that frame, homelessness becomes a symbol, not just of failed urban policy, but of failed liberal governance. But here's the twist. The strategy might actually shift national policy too. Because the conversation is growing, even in deep blue cities, voters are fed up. In San Francisco, Democrats are being voted out. In LA, Mayor Karen Bass is already using emergency powers to sweep encampments. These aren't Republican strongholds. They're progressive cities, changing their tone under pressure. Trump's crackdown might force an uncomfortable reckoning across both parties.
I think it's terrible, and we'll have them removed immediately.
Democrats may have to choose, defend the current model or pivot towards stricter enforcement. And Republicans, they'll likely rally behind Trump's clean up the streets mantra, whether or not the policy works long term. So while the media debates whether this is authoritarian or bold, one thing's for sure. This strategy is about power, not just policy. And Trump knows how to weaponize that better than almost anyone in modern American politics. Let's talk about real impact, because if Trump follows through on this plan, the pressure won't just be political, it'll be on the ground in the cities where the crisis is most visible. For Los Angeles and San Francisco, this could mean an immediate federal presence. Local leaders who've spent years trying to balance compassion with public safety would face an ultimatum: comply with the crackdown or fight the federal government in court. Either choice brings chaos. You'd likely see fast-tracked cleanup orders, more aggressive law enforcement, and potentially an end run around local housing and zoning laws. LA's Inside Safe initiative, which focuses on voluntary relocation to permanent housing, could be overshadowed or overridden. San Francisco's delicate balance between tolerance and enforcement? Gone. More importantly, these cities would become case studies. If Trump succeeds in clearing encampments and relocating thousands of people, even through controversial means, it might create political momentum for similar actions in other cities. Think Portland, Seattle, even parts of New York. But here's the risk. Speed doesn't equal success. Just because people are moved doesn't mean they're housed, or helped, or safe. California already knows this. Cities like Sacramento have cleared encampments before, only to watch them reappear weeks later because long-term housing and mental health support weren't ready. And if Trump's plan fails, if tent cities turn into human warehouses, California will wear the fallout and the scars. It'll deepen the divide between local communities and the federal government, between housing advocates and law and order politics. Either way, the ground-level stakes are massive. So here's the big question. What should California actually do now? Because Trump's plan, or threat, depending on how you see it, isn't just about what he will do, it's also a test, a challenge to California leaders. Fix this yourself, or we'll do it for you. Governor Gavin Newsom and big city mayors can't afford to wait for election results. They have two options. One, double down on current programs. Keep pushing for permanent housing, rent support, and mental health expansion. Or two, shift the approach. Go harder on enforcement. Introduce stricter policies that mirror some of what Trump's promising, just without the federal boots on the ground. Neither option is clean. And the real danger? Doing nothing. Because if the images of tent cities and sidewalk encampments stay the same through the 2024 election, Trump won't even need to win California's support. He'll have already won the narrative. And that's where you come in. Whether you live in California or not, ask yourself, is this just a political game, or is it a real crisis that deserves real solutions? And if you were in charge, what would your first move be? More funding? More enforcement, or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This isn't just a California issue anymore, it's national. And the debate is just getting started. Here's the bottom line. Trump's proposed crackdown on homelessness isn't just a policy shift. It's a political power play with massive real-world consequences. California has become the symbol of what's broken, and Trump is offering a solution that's fast, forceful, and deeply controversial. Whether you believe it's the tough action cities need or a federal overreach waiting to explode, this moment demands attention. Because it's not just about who wins in November. It's about what kind of country we want to be when it comes to poverty, public health, and human dignity. This is more than a soundbite. This is a full-blown national test of leadership, values, and responsibility. And California, it's on the front line.